It's Monday, start of the week, and we have our first guest that I've been excited to talk to. I think I reached out to you in January, and you, as I was saying backstage, you gave me an overwhelming yes that you would love to come up and talk. Um, and then we had planned for February, and then we had a missed schedule on my end, and you graciously put it off for a week, and here we are. And
Mhm.
this is our guest, um, Vishali Shahin.
That's right.
That's right,
Vishali Shahin.
Shahin. And um, Vishali is a retired nurse, I believe 33 years,
35 years.
35 years. Um, and she is a yogi, spent time in an ashram, right?
I spent time in an ashram in India. Yep. For 2.5 years over a 5-year period. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow. And you are a student teacher of A Course in Miracles,
Yes.
with a book that is available, by the way, on Amazon, and it's How to Choose Peace 1 second at a time. You really break that down 1 second. Um,
Yes.
and that's a great way of looking at it because, for one, peace really is a choice, right?
Mhm. It is a choice. And the thing with the 1 second at a time, it's like, we can be so hard on ourselves that we think we need to be doing it better. But hey, just 1 second. Just stop for a second. So it just I had to break it down to the smallest denominator. So that is doable. And I've had many people that I've shared this with before I even wrote the book that were saying, yeah, I could do that. That's 1 second. I can shift my attention for a second. And 1 second leads to another second, right? So
Right.
the momentum starts to shift. So
Um, and that's the important thing is we were talking about that this afternoon. It's been in my mind quite a bit. We want something workable. It's one thing to have a great plan that what I love about yoga, you do get a lot of immediate physical benefits, you get a lot of emotional benefits, but the promise of enlightenment comes with a continuous practice. um, with the course and what you presented, just choosing peace for 1 second, um, you have an actual plan. Do this and you'll feel better.
mm, yeah, it's like in this 1 second, it's can we start breaking rapport with the ego? Because we do have rapport with the ego. Can we start breaking rapport even for a second at a time here and there? So yeah, it's something that I started teaching on my tours because I do vortex tours here in Sedona, Arizona as well. And I started realizing that what the vortex is really about is our spirituality. And I started incorporating some of the basic premises of the course on my tours. And it just became this thing, this where I started just sharing people's how easy it is to just shift their attention. So and also working with what comes up too, because you don't want to bypass, but how easy it is to make that decision to leave the ego. So I call this 1 second at a time. It's like leaving the ego, breaking rapport with the ego, just 1 second at a time.
Um, and the two aren't mutually exclusive. Choosing peace, and feeling what we feel, because you said we don't want to bypass, of course. Um, but some people might think that if I choose peace, then I have to deny what I'm experiencing. But that's not what you're saying, right?
Absolutely not. It's like you just don't identify with the ego when those things come up. I mean, stuff comes up, right? For all of us, especially with what's going on in the world right now. It's like a lot of triggering possibilities are happening for people. And it's not like you're not going to feel the feeling. You're just going to quit putting the labels that the ego wants to put on those feelings. By itself, it's just an energy. Once we label it, it's ours. We get to keep it. So when a
Right.
feeling comes up, I can choose peace just by also sitting with this experience of feeling, whether it's angst or worry or fear or judgment. It's like using the very thing that triggers you to free you by sitting with the energy and just breathing through it with the Holy Spirit, with God. You don't do it on your own. You just do it, but you're choosing to look at it from a higher perspective.
Um, I've had that experience myself with um, pretty much a lifetime of low level depression. And people have asked me that, uh, have you cured? Has yoga and meditation and breath work, has practice in the course cured you of depression? And my answer is I wish. Uh, I,
Yeah.
but I'm able to sit with it, and I'm able to, um, if not be totally okay with it when it seems very deep for me, um, to be okay with offering myself care. That I was mentioning earlier, I love the word tend. That I can tend to myself. I can. I I was a caregiver for many many years, both my parents. Um, I can be my own caregiver
That's right.
through these periods, and um, even for a second. And I absolutely love that. I love the title of your book, and I love that whole thought that literally just for a second, and then as you said, it adds up.
Yeah, it adds up. I mean, there's you start to switch your momentum. As you start switching your momentum to, and I have this in the book. I mean, many people have already have read Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, and I have to be honest, I've never finished his book. I got as far as chapter two, and he gave me everything I needed, and I put the book down. And of course, the course is my teacher. The course is what I really landed on, but I really loved reading his first two chapters of that book because in the second chapter, it's called The Inner Roommate, and even in India, when we were, at the feet of the guru, it's like it's the teaching, of course, is you're not your ego. Now, for many people, they go, that means I'm my higher self. So yes, people get that, but many people don't. And I was like, well, I'm not my ego. Well, how do you not be your ego? Because we're identified with the very thing that we're not. How do you stop identifying with something that you think you are? So it wasn't until Michael's book, The Inner Roommate, where he has this exercise in which he imagines that we can take the ego out of our body and sit it down next to us and talk to it. I mean, would we want to hang out with somebody who only has a low vibration and nothing can't be uplifted? And the answer is no. So we wouldn't want to, but we do. But we do tend to hang out with it. So this idea of externalizing the ego gives us a second more often to catch it, because when you're in it, you're in it. And I can be in it too, but when you're in it, but it takes a second to go, oh, right, who's speaking right now? And this idea that Michael gave us of externalizing the ego, it's just offering us discernment to the fact that we're really not that, and choosing again and choosing once again to choose your higher self. So it's a really good it's a really good way. I mean, for people who might be stuck in identifying with their ego, to externalize it as a metaphor. No, that's not me. This is me,
Right.
or your higher self is you.
And what a powerful statement. If you could take that persona, who you think you are, if you could take it out of the body and meet it, um, and sit with it for dinner and have it as a roommate, would you really want to be with that person? What a powerful, because when you realize, no, but as you said, but we are,
But we
um,
do, right?
we do, yeah, and we can make that shift from there. You mentioned that some people, um, they can recognize identifying as the ego. Um, I have found in a lot of conversations, online conversations, that some people who might not be familiar with the course have a hard time identifying what the ego is, because the identification is so strong that they ask, so what is the ego? Um, is there an explanation that you could give that might clarify people in the chat? What is the ego?
It is a thought system. It's a thought system that we just thoughts land and we buy into it. So what is the ego? I mean, because I have seen that sometimes on my tours, that people just don't get that they have an ego. And they're really, really, really with it. So they don't get there's a little discernment. But it is that, that's a great question. Like, how do you describe what the ego is? But it is a thought system that keeps us ensnared in the illusion that we're dreaming. It just definitely is all that. I don't want to just go positive and negative stuff, but it is that it is that thought system that does keep you separate from truth, and it's very good at what it does. So, it's a hard one to answer.
It
How
is.
would you say that? Because it is tricky. We know it's there's something there that's called the ego that we all work with, deal with, live with, but yeah, and we do our take the course's teachings to help us undo that thought system so that we can wake up and be more at peace.
I think you described it perfectly, and that's pretty much what I say. That it is it's a thought and belief construct that we're not even solely responsible for. We've
No, it just
inherited,
happens.
yeah, and we've inherited so many of these that our parents taught us that we were this and that, and our siblings and our school teacher, and then the books that we've read and the media. We've accumulated this false identity
Yeah.
that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was just gonna say thoughts just come in. We don't even know where they come from. They just land. I mean, there's probably more thoughts that are coming in all the time, but we tend to gravitate towards ones that we're resonating with, but they just land. We don't know where thoughts come from. They just come. And then we just grab them. So and then it starts to become our identity. It starts to become what we're living our life by. And it comes from what you were saying as well, like just being indoctrinated into this dream world that we are.
And because we believe, because those thoughts go on in our brain, um, we believe they're ours, and that we're the thinker, and that we are responsible for those thoughts. Um, and because we think them, they must be true, right?
Right. And then there's a thing, who is this me these thoughts come to? And then we start really questioning, like a thought came in and you're living in a story and you're maybe even getting an emotional response from that. Where do these thoughts come from? But who are these thoughts coming to? Like, who is this me that these thoughts are coming to? And then when we stop and just ask, who is this me like where these thoughts even mean for me, we kind of stop already. We're already out because it's like, huh, where is this me? Because if we really look for the conditioned mind, we're not going to find it.
Right.
We stop and all stops, all thoughts stop. And as soon as all thoughts stop, then we're really in a more quiet place where the ego mind doesn't exist. So it's like, yeah, thoughts come and a great question is who is thinking these thoughts? And who is this me that these thoughts are coming to? And you can't find it.
And that was Ramana Maharshi's great um, inquiry that he would give uh, seekers, just to continuously practice asking, "Who am I?"
Hmm.
Um, and dismissing every um, identity that comes to mind. Um, and eventually, you get to the point where you just think this is a good time to maybe introduce your mantra, because eventually we get to the point where we have to shrug.
That we have to what?
We just have to shrug.
Yeah.
Where as we run out of, we say we're looking for that thinker. Who am I? Uh, and I'm Eric. I'm Vishali. But what if my parents named me Bob, and your parents named you Susan? Would you be a different person? Um, so we keep regressing until we get to that point where we just have to shrug and fall into the mystery.
Hmm. Yeah. It's yes, and then this whole thing of who am I? It's like we have to know who we're not so that we can catch who we're not, to let go of that so we can be who we are. It's like the whole identity of who we think we are as these conditioned minds, the ego, and what we're doing, what we're up to in our stories. We have to really start. There has to be a great willingness. Of course, there has to be a little willingness. In reality, there has to be a massive amount of willingness to really stop and go, am I really going to identify these thoughts? Who is thinking these thoughts? And it does take some time to be undoing the ego mind to get to a point where there's enough light that shines through that you go, yeah, let me just catch these thoughts as often as I can. Because to know who you are, you have to let go of who you're not.
Um, so we've covered who we're not. That we are not. Um, we're not the thinker of the thoughts, and we're not the ego. So Who are we?
It's a great question. I mean, that is that stillness, that quietness. Who are we? And I think until we live in that state, that is something that that is, even though we're drawn to it, we all have experiences, along the way. And some people may not, but we tend to have some experiences along the way. Some might be revelatory, some might just be, these moments of like like a guest the other day was telling me how she was just driving a car, and then she looked up in the sky and there was a crack in the sky. And though it only lasted a few seconds for her, she knew that there was something beyond that crack in the sky. There was something beyond that dimension. And it hit her so hard that, like, wow, this isn't the real world. But I think we're all drawn towards this, whether we really know who we are or not. But it is not the chaos that we're in. It's the peace, it's the stillness, it's the quiet. And that's just definitions. What's beyond even that? Because we have to use words to identify.